Hey scholars, welcome to my morning video regarding Emily Dickinson. So, uh, I took this picture. It was up at the Emily Dickinson homestead, and I'll show you some pictures of that. But let's just read this poem. Really, what I want to look at in this is just the ways of grief and how do you live life knowing that you're going to die, and how should one grieve when someone you love has died, even if that grief is for yourself. All right. So let's. Of course, she's using nature here. The butterfly upon the sky does not know its name. It hasn't any tax to pay and hasn't any home, is just as high as you and higher, I believe. So soar away and never sigh, and that's the way to grieve. So look what she's doing here in her very, she doesn't have to worry about any taxes. It's the butterfly, right? She doesn't have any home, right? So if you take away everything, I mean, and listen, right? Uh, March Madness has been taken away from you. You can't sit and enjoy a coffee at Starbucks. You can take it to go, or even better yet, make it home. Um, but you take everything else away, and you can say, okay, maybe I can be like the butterfly. The butterfly doesn't know its name; it's just soaring, right? So sometimes we just get so consumed in ourselves and our own selfish wants and needs, and this all makes sense. It's all human nature. But if we look to the butterfly, if we look to nature, it soars high, and it soars higher than any of us. And then she encourages us. So soar away and never sigh. Don't grieve over, things that you cannot control. And she's saying, she's encouraging, well, that's the way to grieve, right? Um, okay, here's some. This is Emily Dickinson's house in Amherst. I took this picture. Of course, we here have extensive gardens, right? And she would love the garden. So, in tending to the garden, she would see the face of God. She would see what the Romantics felt with their connection to nature, to God, and the flowers having different names, but we name the flowers. The flowers just grow without being conscious of what they are or what they're doing. Um, and it's all this like what Emerson would call like the hieroglyphic, right? It's like we have to see nature as some sort of riddle. And these plants, these daisies down here at the bottom, they are Shasta daisies right here. Um, we have like a hosta back here. There's all different types of things I could tell you about here. Um, but we need to see in nature the riddle, and then maybe there's like potential health benefits and things like that to things that we never knew, like penicillin. Penicillin's been around. Mold, it's been around for eons, right? We just didn't realize it could cure us or help cure us until not that long ago. All right, guys, keeping on this theme of how to grieve for death. Here's another poem. Of course, you probably have come across this one. It's probably her most famous, her most anthologized poem that kids read in school. Because I cannot stop for death. Because who in the hell wants to stop for death, right? Poem number 479. Um, because I cannot stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. So death here is seen as not someone. Well, death comes for all of us, but he's kind. He's a gentleman. He's coming up, rolling up in a carriage. All right, and it was just me and death. All right, because when we die, we can have like everyone's around us. Right, we can have people mourning for us and crying for us, but when we go to that next stage, that undiscovered country that Shakespeare talks about, it's just me and death, right? We have to die alone. But he slowly drove. There's no haste, so we're going around crazy, taking all the toilet paper from the shopping centers. Nah, there's no worry now. Time is irrelevant. Time does not matter. Time has stopped actually, because time is just a human construct. I put away my labor, my leisure too, for civility. Oh, okay. I was doing this stuff. All right, it's time to put that away. This guy's such a gentleman. And then we passed the school, passed the children. This is the school where she went to. They're at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of grazing green. We passed the setting sun, right? So she's kind of going back over her life. or rather, he passed us because we're past the sun. The dews, of course, we're kind of getting cold here in empty space, right? And I only had this stuff here, these types of garments to wear. And we passed the house that's seen the swelling on the ground. That's her gravestone, the roof. This is part of her coffin, right? And but this poem here does not seem like it's scared to death. It's just the natural way that we all have to go, and seeing death, the Grim Reaper, as a gentleman, not as some sort of scary, scary figure, because we're just moving towards eternity. And if we're moving towards eternity, soaring like the butterfly, why should we be really scared of the inevitable? So here's Mrs. Bowne. We're at the Emily Dickinson graveyard. This is where the family was buried. And here's Emily right here. Right, and this is her sister. Here's Emily. Here's Vivian, Edward Dickinson, all the Dickinson family. Um, and she died of kidney disease. If we take a look at the bio thing here, she died of kidney disease in Amherst. She's laid to rest at 55 at the family plot in West Cemetery. Um, so the idea here is, of course, that think about Emily Dickinson having had a house at one point that overlooked this same graveyard. She was walking with death every day. But could it be because she walked with death every day, she saw it as something not to be afraid of? It was just something that was inevitable. And in someone who sees in nature the life and death of plants and the resurrection of plants. So my daisies now and other types of plants are coming up. So life starts over again. Uh, and it's this whole birth rebirth cycle that in the romantic literature we see death as coming for all of us, with a frost that might kill off the flowers, but those same flowers will come back again, in some sort of new birth, the phoenix kind of idea. All right, hopefully this has helped you. Here's the in the cemetery. There's this mural that was being painted. I think they're actually painting these. Well, we were there, but here she is as a butterfly, right? Emily Dickinson, in her life, uh, with her auburn hair. Um, in a way, the resurrection scene with the daisy right here. So here's an idea of how to do a video. I would ask you. I think I did two poems. I would have you do like maybe another third poem or fourth poem to tie into your theme. Not too difficult. You talking about what you see going on in the poetry, and hopefully you learn something for this. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye bye.